There's really nothing else to learn about the while loop. But before we move on, I want to review one more example of each type of while loop. And now that you know how to properly use a while loop, these examples that once seemed tough will look like a piece of cake. Today, we'll code two types of while loops. We're going to go over one example of each type of loop. The first example, let's create a program that will prompt the user for a positive number and determine if that number is divisible by 10 or not. It should do this over and over again until the user ends it. We don't know how many numbers the user will enter, so this will be a user-controlled loop. So let's prompt the user for a number and store it to n. We'll use -1 to end the loop. So while n is not equal to -1, we're going to run a loop. If n mod 10 is equal to 0, meaning there's no remainder when we divide them, we print out that n is divisible by 10. Or else, we output that it's not divisible by 10. Then to end the loop, we need to prompt the user for a new number. Remember, for a loop, we need to initialize the control variable, use the control variable, do some stuff inside of the loop, and then update the control variable. We have all of those pieces, so this code should be ready to test. We run this and then enter 10, which is divisible by 10, 20, 30, 40. All of them are divisible. Then let's enter 15, 39, 42. All are not divisible by 10. And then we enter -1 to end it. Then we have our other while loop with a count variable. So let's make a program that will prompt the user for a name and output it back to the user 3 times. Since this runs an exact number of times, it needs a count variable. So let's start with count equals 0. Then while count is less than 3, let's prompt the user for a name. Then we print out what they entered and update the count variable. Again, all 4 pieces are present that we need for a while loop. We run this program, we enter Ada, Grace, Hetty, and then it ends. Perfect! A while loop can be controlled with a control variable, which can be either user-created or by having a count variable. But there is something we haven't mentioned yet. There is actually another kind of loop. It's not a while loop. And that other kind of loop makes working with count variables much easier and more powerful. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next lesson.